have actually translated to the entirety of their team very positively.
Especially with Endless and Caveman really stepping up to the plate. We saw them use Endless in all 3 games recently. I believe that one was against RNG, not opting to put Shen P into their roster, which they normally used to do as their to sub him in during their 2nd game. But for now, we are into Champion Select for game number 1 between LGD and Vici. LGD will be starting on the blue side of the Rift, as Vici will be taking to the red side of Summoner's Rift, as Vladimir, Karma, and Malzahar are the 3 bands coming out from LGD. As
you
Nah,
do, yeah.
Rumble, and Siva are going to be the bands coming out from Vici.
You just swap these teams' colors for a second. That'd be great.
That is a priority pick Kog'Maw from blue side.
Jesus.
Yep.
It's interesting, as you know, Imp, he's been playing the most Kog'Maw in the LPL so far, but a first pick Kog'Maw coming out from LGD.
And this is going very quick and fast through this draft phase. Both these teams having a very clear identity and idea about what they want to do. Although since the Hecarim has been locked in for Vici, that should mean that LG want to take the Shin, as well as having that protect the AD carry composition.
Yeah, which works positively for them in both ways. Dandy's Hecarim needs to be pointed out because he goes insane on this champion. It should be banned from him.
It's all that practice from playing in the top lane.
There may well be. Of course, we haven't seen him play Yasuo jungle yet. I look forward to it.
Well, let's see if he does get a match on that one. But it is the Braum and Hecarim that do get locked in for Vici. On the flip side, LGD swapping out the Alistar last second for Trunda will lock that in, as well as the Kha'Zix in the jungle.
Yeah, and on the other side of Dandy getting his Hecarim, we do need to point out that Intruder, we haven't seen a lot of tape of him, but he showed out really big on the Kha'Zix the first time LGD decided to debut him. So this is definitely a hard carry-esque jungler, and he is going toe-to-toe with the Prince of Thieves.
Never seen somebody get so mega deleted than what Intruder did to somebody in his first game for LGD.
It was actually beautiful to watch. It was one of the biggest highlight reels of that match as well. Vici, though, locking in their next 2 picks, which will be the Lissandra being picked up, as well as the Jhin being locked in for Endless.
No one touching the Shen. They had the opportunity to look for it on Long. It's definitely a champion that fits with his identity and MO.
EasyHoon seems like he's going back to the Lissandra pickup, unless we see it flex into the top lane for Lung, something he played very frequently during the spring split of the LPL. Now LGD, they have actually locked in that Shen, still going through picks and bans really quickly, and we're going to be seeing Wayless playing Syndra in the mid lane for LGD.
Just to recap, you predicted Cassiopeia.
I did.
We said no one would have predicted this one for what it's worth. He's just gone in on the Syndra into a Lissandra matchup, where if you press R and Lissandra presses R, it negates yours. It's actually not that great of a matchup to be in. But they have gone like tenfold into bursting you out on the assumption that it's not a mid lane Lissandra, or they just don't care.
And it possibly might not be a mid lane Lissandra, as we see a Mage being hovered as the last pick for Vici. So it could definitely be the flex pick of Lissandra up into the top lane for Lung. He has yet to play at this split, and we will get Victor in the mid lane for EasyHoon.
What? EasyHoon is a phenomenal... Like, EasyHoon's a phenomenal Victor, but EasyHoon is a phenomenal Lissandra. For the longest time, Vici had a 100% win rate on that champion. So you literally, just as Rusty said, have the matchup where you can completely negate Syndra's ultimate, and you choose to opt out of it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
An interesting pick ban coming out from both these two teams. Pretty fast from both of them. We saw a first pick Kog'Maw. We see the flex of Lissandra coming out from Vici, and Wayless returning for LGD. This is going to be an exciting first match between the two teams.
Yeah, and LGD with Wayless back have basically just thrown team fighting out the window and said, we have 5 strong players that will individually kill you.
Well, let's see if they can do just that as we head on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between LGD and Vici. We are on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between LGD and Vici. And as the observers are very politely showing us, it is going to be a mountain dragon that spawns first in this best of 3 series. No cloud or ocean like what we saw in that last best of 3 between IMA and TNWE.
Fish, the dragon does not matter right now. You know, the only thing that matters, Wayless is back. So it's been a while.
Yep.
For those people who are new to LGD, but Wayless goes way back with this team. He replaced Rena, their former mid laner, who was an Orianna one-trick, and they picked him up as a rookie. And Wayless had this reputation of just being way too hero. He was a big Ahri player. He'd dive 3 towers just to get the 1v1 kill.
But he'd get it.
But he'd get it.
That's the main thing.
And it was just about curbing his aggression. He was thought to kind of be this really big standout, kind of the next big mid laner for China, which if you think about their history, they had people like Zatai, like Cool, like Whites, Messiah. So it was a big honor and prestige to be considered one of those mid laners that could be. Stepped into his role nicely. Then LGD went to Worlds. Everything fell apart. Renamed himself twice. Lost his entire identity. Was kicked off the team. And has now made his comeback.
And I think he was injured most recently as well,
His
so
hand,
now he's
yes.
finally back. All of these old school mid laners in the LPL are making their returns one by one. And whilst you say the dragon may not be important right now, and Wayless is, it's also what LGD are built to kill.
Definitely are, especially with the Kha'Zix being picked up from Montreal. Lots of damage on towards neutral monsters. And Wayless is going to be up against EasyHoon in this mid lane. We see Australian lanes actually come out from both these teams. Imp and PYL did start on a camp, so did Endless and Caveman, and they're already brawling up into top lane to start this game off. Trading damage back and forth.
I'm a huge advocate and fan of the Trundle, especially being picked as a support into the likes of Jhin. Naturally has one of the longest range displacements. In fact, the longest range displacement ability. So when Jhin goes into that ultimate, nice little pillar's really going to put a kink in his day.
Let's go one step further. He also attacks at a fixed rate, so you can't proc the Braum stun as efficiently as you'd like. Trundle's also a good pick in a 1v1 support matchup between the Braum and Trundle. It's just all around probably the best support pick that they could have given themselves for laning phase.
Well, let's see if they can utilize that one effectively here against Vici's team. Endless and Caveman still doing fine up in the top lane for now. It's Marin and Lung already trading back and forth in this bottom lane. A good taunt did come out from Deshen, got some decent damage on towards Lissandra. Mid lane's just still fairly quiet between Wayless and EasyHoon. So
it's a Syndra lane though. There is a possibility at any moment, if Intruder were around, that someone dies.
And they've got a lot of damage between those duos. Syndra being one of the heaviest burst mages in the game. Kha'Zix being one of the biggest burst junglers in the game as well. It's going to be devastating if you lock someone down.
I mean, Rusty said it before after Champion Select that this is effectively LGD 5 players picking 5 kill champions. And just picking a target.
Speaking of killing, Dandy is looking to try and do the exact thing here towards Mara in the bottom lane. Charges on towards the Shen. He doesn't have his taunt available yet. Gets locked down by Lung. Lives with a sliver of health. Does get the taunt in return and gets first blood onto Lung in the bottom lane. What a crazy outplay from Marin.
That guy's a god. Marin is a freak. That was so good. The turret aggro, the W as well. I will say that was overexcited from Dandy looking for that. The cooldowns were still there from Marin. They didn't bait any taunt out beforehand. It was a mistake, but Marin made that look like a stylish one.
Certainly did. Turret aggro doesn't stop ramping up when it changes, and that just chunked out Lung and Lissandra as well in that fight. Already first blood for LGD. They put themselves on the scoreboard and negate some of the pressure that came out from Dandy.
But this is also very unlike Dandy. Typically, he prioritizes his bottom lane, ganking for his duo before he ever looks towards that top side and long. So again, we've talked about how LPL teams conforming to their opponents. It's pretty much in vogue right now to camp Marin, and it burns Vici.
He's now trying to push his way on towards the turret. Does get it underneath the turret's aggro, so it should bounce back for him nicely.
The beauty of Intruder is he's quite aptly named. Spends a lot of his time looking to find Dandy, opposed to trying to find kills in particular areas. He's pretty much the embodiment of a Kha'Zix.
It's a swap back happening right now. You can see PYL and Imp making their way down there. In fact, the teleport's actually being burned. That's
interesting.
Vicious.
Marin has to be a little bit careful. I don't know if he knows that Caveman is right beside him, waiting.
It won't matter if he keeps his taunt up. It's more of an issue if the Hecarim shows up and there's a 3-person there, but given that Dandy's pretty much had a bad start, you'd expect them to be jungling.
When they do send the AD carry and support back to base. There's trades back and forth in this mid lane. EasyHoon is slightly ahead in terms of CS at the moment, but
this is actually really big. So Marn burns his teleport because obviously he's level 5, very close to that level 6, will have his Stand United available, so he doesn't lose global pressure on the map. It does force Long to answer by burning his TP, which means there's now a very large window that LGD could make a play cross-map.
Well, let's say they utilize it effectively, as that's a ghost coming out from EasyHoon on top of Wayless. Gets the laser down as well, but the last tick from the Chaos Storm is not going to connect. Very big play from EasyHoon.
He just ghosted and said, "Get out of my lane." And Wayless was like, "No, he's still here."
Yeah, it's got his double pot, so he's going to be very safe in that lane. Likewise, didn't have to burn either summoner.
PYL getting locked down by Endless and Caveman in the bottom lane. Takes half his health and damage from one trade. No response coming out from Imp to return damage of his own. Like you said, he's still in this lane. Wayless still trying to farm up against EasyHoon here. Has been holding up in CS quite nicely for now.
That was actually really good last hitting under the turret. The fact that EasyHoon's gone back to base now as well gives an opportunity. I'm not going to be surprised to see an aggressive itemization choice out of Wayless if he goes for Morello's, but also Rod of Ages is a decent pickup for Syndra now, that it exchanges your mana for health and vice versa, as a very trade-heavy champion.
We'll have to keep tab on what he's going to be picking up as his first item. He does go back and pick up a Lost Chapter, so it could most likely be that Morello Nomicon.
It has to be. It's the only item it builds out of.
Marin is still trading back and forth against Long up in the top side of the map, getting his taunt off wherever he possibly can. Dandy now looking to give blue buff on over towards EasyHoon, who's gone back to base and upgraded his Hex Core for himself.
I believe it still only cost 1,000 on this patch.
I don't think the changes come through until 6.14, or excuse me, 1.5. This is 6.14.
Still so much trading to be seen from Marin. He is trying his absolute best to keep Lung down.
Certainly is. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, you can actually see trades coming out from these bottom laners, left, right, and center, as they are not giving up any pressure on either side of the map. Does look like now LGD are slowly coming ahead in terms of these trades. Recove Bow was picked up for Imp. Serrated Turk being picked up by Endless on his first back.
He's actually working bottom side Intruder, perhaps. He's looking for a kill down there. PYL already walked into the bush to clear vision to ensure that he's safe to move, and he's going from a pink ward to that brush if he chooses to. That level 6 point means that his isolated damage is massive.
Certainly is. For now, though, he's just clearing out the Scuttle Camp. Scuttle Camp.
They're looking for the dive. There comes the pings. Again, there's a global advantage.
Shen ulti, follow it up.
Let's see if they go for a PYL, taking a lot of damage in this trade. Flashes away, coming out from both Vici's bottom laners. Caveman, one more Bio-Arcane Barrage wouldn't be enough to take it down. But suddenly there's a Cursor Core on top of LGD. PYL tanks up so many shots. There's the Steady Night as well as a flash from Intruder. LGD, a little bit of miscommunication there, it seems.
That was a lot of miscommunication, actually. The Shen ultimate burned. If Intruder was going to do that, they should have said somebody was ulting. Right now, they're still threatening. Dandy's in a position where he can get hurt.
Let's see what's going to happen. Intruder just jumps over the wall to get away from the hack room. So it's just the global being burnt from the side of LGD.
Was a good idea from LGD, but execution was mismanaged, which is actually kind of the opposite of what we typically say about this team. Usually it's poor ideas, but excellent execution.
But now that we just go back in towards the mid lane, it's easier, and using the Ghost again on top of Wayless. Suddenly there's a Lissandra down here as well, but Wayless picks up the solo kill despite so many people being in his lane. Marin does teleport down as well. He's trying to take down Lung, but doesn't have enough consistent damage for it.
And just the casual Wayless just rubs his hands together. Welcome back.
The Syndra 1v1 essentially. Lissandra forces his hand to turn around and fight, but this is why you pick Lissandra as your mid laner and you don't flex at top lane. Syndra bursted him out, flashes forward, gets the ignite on him, ensures that death was there.
Still, however, we are dead even in gold between both Vici and LGD. We're still very early into this game. We saw the Australian lanes come out from the teams to start things off, now swapping back down towards the bottom side of the map. Input PYL looking to try and push this one out again towards Caveman and Endless. So they've actually Lots of Braum out there. Good pillar comes down.
They can't be as aggressive this time around simply because Long does have his TP back up. Marn will have that stand united eventually. It's about half its cooldown, so need to be respectful, which is why they're making a play top.
Jumping straight on top of the Lissandra, but Dandy's up here as well. The flash away from Long gets him to relative safety, and they do take down Intruder under the turret.
Yeah, the Kazakhs looking for a dive, even Wayless nearby, but the fact that they can counter gank and Dandy's spider sensors were there, he knew, and he's able to respond right on time. The dive was risky only because there was the capabilities of a counter.
Yeah, and again, kind of a failed execution from LGD. The idea is smart. Again, we don't have the TP advantage. We can't make a play bottom as safely as we'd like. Let's gank the teleport, force that out, then make the play bottom. Only they fail the dive.
Unfortunately, that means LGD are slightly behind in terms of gold, despite the kills being even between the two teams.
They do hit power spikes sooner, though, on the side of LGD. Trinity Force is the item of choice from Dandy, but he's going straight towards his tanky Merc Treads edition first. So a lot of investment in boots for the Hecarim. Also the Proto Belt for Lung, which is a very unique first choice. Instead of a Rod of Ages, means that he's trying to match the earlier scaling or spiking of LGD.
Let's see what he can do with that Proto Belt once he picks it up. Now though, Wayless is just basically in the mid lane. Meanwhile, bottom lane, LGD making a play with the stand united. Caveman getting locked down by the taunt. A good double taunt actually locks down Endless. He's a sliver of health away from death, but they're focusing onto Caveman first. Dandy shows up and deters them from progressing forward. Intruder's now down on the bottom side of the map. Dandy's going to take so many ults coming out for Wayless there. He's able to take him down.
And Long never once even considered pulling the trigger on the TP, just casually farming top lane. So either miscommunication or Vici thought that they were safely able to clear from that.
Here's a curtain call, gets a lot of shots on towards PYL, and it's a teleport that's going to be coming out from Lung, looking to clear them out. Going to be able to lock down PYL, doesn't actually connect there, instead chooses for Imp first, gets the first kill. Looking to still chase for PYL, but he gets to the safety of his turret.
Intruder even finds Easy Hoon in the middle, so they fight each other and both live. Lung's target selection onto Imp does make sense, but Imp even saved his heal. He didn't really feel the need to use it to save himself whatsoever. Just knows that death's coming to him and is happy to welcome it.
It's been an explosive game so far between LGD and Vici across the top and bottom lanes, even in the mid lane at times, with Wayless picking up that early solo kill onto Easy Hoon.
Do you believe yet?
No, not yet. It's going to take a while more.
This just feels like Vici are playing LGD's game, though, and you'd expect this to be going better for LGD, considering.
Let's see if they can. Mara now actually looking to see if he can take a buff away from Dandy. Pulls the sword over, but the smite will come out from the Hecarim to secure the buff for himself.
It's the right idea. He's still controlling that top lane in the 1v1. He's waiting on ultimate cooldowns from Marin before they start making bigger plays again.
Let's see what they can do for now. Like you said, Marin is now on the top side of the map. His teleport is up and available. Lungs is still down for quite some time. So again, potential for LGD to make that cross and map play. Lung has moved up into the top lane, trying to do what he can against the Shen. This blue buff is being started by Dandy and Easy Hoon.
It's very smart, taking advantage over Wayless's back timings.
One thing that a Victor does have is a lot more efficient wave clear, especially with mana as a resource. Syndra runs out very quickly. Has to go Morelos to compensate for that fact. You can see the mana pool that he's already expended just clearing a single wave. Compare that to a Victor, particularly now with his blue buff that Wayless doesn't have. So it causes a lot of concern for LGD.
Once again, going back into farming in all the 3 lanes. Danny now working on his own blue buff. Probably going to take that one for himself after donating the enemy blue to Easy Hoon. Lung is threatening to get a gank off towards this mid lane on top of Wayless. Has to be careful. Dandy was charging down towards the bottom side of the map. PYL and Intruder are there to respond in case anything goes south for LGD. He's actually jumping over the wall here. This is very aggressive from Intruder. Does get the stand united to try and lock down Endless. The taunt comes out. He is a dead Jhin. And LGD might be able to take down the turret as well.
Really good use of vision, actually, from LGD. PYL was just playing Scout, and they see the members of Vici. They respond in kind, and that is very cute from Intruder and Myron, but effective.
And in response,
be careful. He's going to get jumped on here. Flashes away, but does get locked down by the Hecarim. Gets a good knockback, though, and escapes death as a teleport comes out from Myron to save the mid lane out of turret.
Wayless absorbing a ton of pressure on Vici. They try to make the counterplay, but good reactionary heads up by Syndra nets them nothing.
Fantastic target selection to make sure that he doesn't die, because Lissandra didn't get a single thing off.
I'm so happy that Wayless is playing on form for his game back into the LPL.
He's been looking good so far, and LGD also able to secure a Mountain Dragon for themselves out of the back of the escape from Wayless in the mid lane.
It was such a shame, Fish. He went to Worlds, global stage, and he just choked. For whatever reason, didn't perform. He really does have a reputation in China as being an elite player. And so it's nice to see him kind of live back up to that standard. I hope it continues through the rest of the series, because they're going to need him as a strong backbone if they're going to take down Vici and EasyHoon.
Let's see if they can do just that. Like we mentioned earlier, this is the start of the playoff run for LGD. If anything, they're 2 games behind Vici at the moment, who are holding on to that 4th spot. A win here will put them, again, 1 game out of playoff contention. As Vici now looking to try and push down the bottom lane outer turret.
He's going all in on the burst strat as well. He's going Luden's Echo on his Syndra. This guy means business. I like it.
More items being picked up by LGD as well. Imp has picked up his Wits End as his first item, which we see lots of Cogmores pick up very early. Hurricane will be next, as Mara now getting jumped on by Endless and Caveman. Will get locked down by the Deadly Flourish.
They're going to dive, Marn. He's got 2 people incoming.
Let's see what he can do here. Danny
No, they're not.
decides he wants the minions instead.
Abort mission. That was too risky. Myron is a super tank.
I trusted you, Frosco.
They were going for it. He just was like, high five, Marn. He's like, never mind. I can only tell you what I see on my map, Fish.
And still LGD holding on to a small gold lead for themselves. Now, once again, going back into that farming phase, Myron does have his Stand United up and available. No teleport to move around the map quicker, though. But can create that cross-map pressure. Lung can now match with the teleport of his own. EasyHoon's in trouble. Gets altered there by Wayless, but he's going to get taken down. It's just a 1-for-1 trade in the mid lane. Both mid laners taking each other down.
Wayless, ladies and gentlemen. Was it worth it, Frosco?
Yes.
Yeah. That was very worth it.
Meanwhile, LGD able to take down the Rift Herald to bring the engagement in the mid lane. They donate that one over towards Intruder. So the Kha'Zix can have a little bit more split push potential, also a bit more damage when he's up against opponents.
Starting to see a small style change as well between Cogmore builds. Imp going for his Zeal next. Wants to do more damage. It is a part of the Hurricane, but instead of going
For the recurve
for the recurve, he wants that crit. He appreciates the RNG aspect.
Does upgrade that one into his Hurricane. So big power spike for the Cogmore already. Endless is still waiting to complete his next Serrated Dirk item. Already has his own Yomu's Ghostblade. Hex Core being upgraded again by EasyHoon, who is looking towards, I believe, a Rylai's Crystal Scepter next. Still sitting on a Negatron Cloak to try and negate some of that burst damage that Wayless provides in this mid lane.
And we do need to highlight once again, LGD want to win these games through neutral objective control by having a Kha'Zix. But the other aspect of a Kha'Zix is not necessarily his neutral objective control, it's his assassination. And so if they can work around picks, which is something they will excel at by having a Syndra and a Kha'Zix. If they lock somebody down and it's not a 5v5, the Cogmore is going to be safe.
Well, let's see what they can do as PYL actually getting jumped on here by Caveman. We'll be able to use his Frozen Domain to walk away from the threat of Vici.
And we're starting to see both teams kind of gather and pool into this mid lane area, simply because it's the last standing outer tower. It's now kind of a question of who's going to be able to break this.
Lots of wave clear to be seen, though, from both teams as middle laners. The real breaking points usually when those mid laners leave towards a side lane.
Yep, and I think it means that it's much more important that both these teams take control over their side lanes and try to catch each other. You just talked about the fantastic pick potential that LGD's composition has, as well as their objective shred. And as we say that, there's that isolation damage.
20-minute Baron coming out. They already started this one. Wayless, though, in a lot of trouble. Does get Stan United to keep himself alive, but he's just moving straight towards the Baron pit, which has been stopped by LGD.
Yeah, they had no health to actually do that. PYL was acting like a ward instead of a tank for it. And so they do have to disengage. Not only that, the Shen ultimate had to be burned to keep Wayless alive. And he was walking towards the Baron pit, and I'm pretty sure he made them really scared by doing that.
So unfortunate coming out from LGD. They do use one of their global spells now. Only the teleport from Marin can match the teleport of Lung. But the Stan United should be coming back up shortly.
Imp is very far forward.
Unfortunately, they can't flank to that ward, but still gives them good vision. Here comes Dandy. Curticles come out. Gonna land on top of PYL, though. Imp is now stuck by the pillar that was placed down by PYL as Dandy gets that first kill. Suddenly, Lung's in trouble, though, as they're now chasing on towards them. Easy Who's here as well, trying to separate them from the rest of the team. But that top lane outer turret's gonna fall for Vici.
Yeah, as you said, Imp, a little bit too far out. There was no saving him, however, because the Hecarim ultimate was actually used to disperse PYL and Imp, separate them, and allow the Jhin ultimate to connect without fail. So they lock him down quite effectively.
Pick means that they also pick up the tower. Dragon will be spawning at 18 seconds, so a good timer to hit the base, grab your pink wards, and start moving back down towards that objective.
Certainly is. It's 5-5 in terms of kills. 2 turrets each with a single dragon for LGD at the moment. And gold is dead even between the two teams. Dragon is back up and available. And it's an Ocean Dragon this time around. Intruders in the pit, but Dandy looks like he wants to charge on forward towards the Kha'Zix. As the stun is not going to land there towards Easy, who actually used his Ghost to try and avoid that.
Looking very aggressively with his Ghost to actually just try and do damage. We've never seen him use that for anything other than just popping his ultimate down with a laser.
So now Wayless is pushing on towards the mid lane. Going to get locked down by the Jhin. A good pillar going to be coming out from PYL to separate Vici from cutting them off in the mid lane.
Wayless quite low though.
And
They do need to show respect.
They are still pushing though towards this mid lane outer turret. Dragon is up and available. Vici could pull the trigger if they want to move towards the objective. They definitely have the inside track towards it.
LGD just need to give this one up, or they need to buy enough time for Wayless to back and get back in position. Doesn't have the mana, doesn't have the health, as Rusty said, very low. I think you just walk away from this one.
It's gone back to base, so the trigger's been pulled by Vici. They want to be able to take down this
Never
Ocean
trust
Dragon.
LGD to walk away.
Marin wants to go for this one. Danny looking for the engage on towards PYL. He has to flash away. Lung even using the claw to try and get in there. Dragon will fall, but now Lung in trouble. As Intruders on top of him. The ultimate will come out from Lissandra, but he gets taken down. Intruder gets the first kill. Now Danny in a little bit of trouble. Going to get slowed down by the Syndra. He dashes back in. Ulti straight the back out of there. As K-Man uses this shield to negate some of the damage from Syndra's ultimate. PYL in a bit of trouble. Intruder takes up the second shot. Wayless gets the second. Really low. The flash laser comes out from Easy Hoon to take him down.
Wow, Vici actually turned it back around. That was super forward by LGD. They were really trying to get picks, and that doesn't work out as they planned.
And this is something that can be said for Vici. Within their last few series, their ability to team fight and their overall team synergy and cohesion has increased dramatically. It used to be that Vici couldn't team fight their way out of a wet paper bag, and that is no longer the identity or the case right now, and this is also what makes them a great case for a playoff run.
You certainly touched on that at the start of this match. Vici previously, especially during Spring Split, were known to dedicate all of the resources from the top side of the map to help out Endless and Caveman on the bottom side who used to struggle in that lane. They've really been stepping up to the plate as well recently.
It helps that the meta pretty much shifted drastically in Vici's favor. Not only open up the picks of Azir, who have been ruling for so long, or wave control mid laners, but the fact that AD carries are becoming more utility based, so takes a lot of pressure off of Endless. Although as I say that, we do have a Kog'Maw in this game.
Yeah, there's always going to be the same scaling, similar to our previous series. Kog'Maw can be invaluable towards the late game, but Vici have built themselves a very reminiscent team comp of the opposition in that exact game, where they just want to take you out in a team fight, dive the backline, and this time instead of having a Shen ultimate on the Hecarim, they have a Lissandra actually joining ranks with him. They've got the Braum to make sure their carries are alive, and every composition that has a Jhin can effectively replicate a pick composition.
Let's see if they can use it effectively here, because gold is still dead even between the two teams. We're going to see which team can make that first opening play. Vici do have Endless and Caveman on the top side of the map, trying to push out that wave as much as possible. And actually pinging on towards the top lane inner turret. LGD are closer towards the bottom side of the map. Intruder takes away the blue buff from Vici's side of the jungle.
PYL, the lone warrior, is about to walk into his own death if he tries to defend this by himself.
He is stuck between 3 members.
What?
Here comes Dandy.
He was threatening for it. He still is. He's trying to pull them away from the turret, it seems. We'll get tagged up by the Winter's Bite, but actually knocks Dandy back. Intruder's close by as well, trying to see what he can do. They successfully defend the turret.
PYL is such a man. I mean, I can understand that he is still a Trundle and can get out alive by having his exhaust there, but he was getting collapsed on.
Sure was.
No fear.
Still no fear.
He thinks he's a top lane Trundle at the moment, still chasing on towards Dandy. Long now in a little bit of trouble as Marin is continually chasing down the Lissandra. Gets lots of good damage down the claw, has to be used to get to safety. So trades back and forth between the top laners. Long did pick up his Hextech Protobelt and now has been able to pick up his Zhonya's Hourglass as well.
I have this terrible feeling that this game is going to come down to a single team fight that rotates into a Baron. And that will be the deciding factor.
Where have I seen this before?
I just have this inkling that the team with the Kha'Zix and the Kog'Maw, who can burn Baron very quickly.
Yeah. Also doing a lot of damage imp once he gets his Blade of the Ruined King, which he is going towards. And I'm so pleased to say that. More than you know.
Not a fan of the Lichbane? Oh, not Lichbane, sorry, Gwynsu's
Yeah, I'm not a
Ragebane.
fan of the Lichbane.
Put the Lichbane Kog'Maw
I'll
on,
be outside. You guys are on your own for now.
I'm also not a, I'm personally not a fan of the Gwynsu's Rageblade as well. I just feel like as a third item, it feels lackluster to actually pick that one up, where usually it's a first item spike that you then augment to make yourself stronger. The Wit's End compensates for that, in my opinion, and Blade of the Ruined King doubles your on hit damage.
It just has such an awkward build path, having both that magic damage as well as the recurve bow.
I like it as a snowball choice. So
Yes.
if you are winning, you go Gwynsu's, you win harder.
You can still see Marin going toe-to-toe against Lung, and now in the bottom lane as both the top laners split push for their teams. Lots of pings coming out actually towards PYL. He's going to get locked down, takes a lot of damage. Standing United goes on top of the Trundle to keep him alive. Suddenly the rest of Vici have taken so much damage, but there's Long with a big ultimate in the back lines to slow them down. Dandy charges in but dies immediately. Now Long's in trouble, has to use the Zhonya's Hourglass to stay alive. That's a big stun coming out for Wayless to lock down 3 members of Vici. They do trade 2 for 1.
They actually trade positive in the end. Through Wayless's 6th stun, they actually round out a winning team fight. LGD have control, but they won't get anything from this control. And Wayless was also on the opposite side of the wall because he flashed.
Big thing, though, is the fact that A, Dandy is down, and B, Vici have lost a lot of their big key cooldowns. They don't have that Chaos Storm available.
Waiting for the pick zone, they're able to find Caveman. He jumps back valiantly to try and get towards Endless, but that's a Summoner spell burnt. So at least LGD picked that one up after the back of that team fight, but here comes Easy here. An immediate flash coming out from him, respecting the space coming out from Victor.
It's just too forward trying to wave clear. Used all of his mana pool actually to just last hit the minions. Disrespect, and he's made pay for it.
Classic Imp.
Yeah, and I think he'll do it again.
Yep.
Because one time he'll turn around and hit you instead. You won't be ready.
For now though, Vici and LGD are so close in this match. Only 500 gold separates the two teams 28 minutes into this match. Dragon is back up and available, so another objective on the match for these two teams to contest for. It's another Mountain Dragon. So definitely one that you don't take lightly. His pings are actually coming out on towards this Baron. They're going to start this one up. PYL tanking it up. Intruders here getting lots of damage down. Quick. Shreds this one. Danny's looking to see if he can get over the wall to the back of the pit. Marin now taunts over the wall just to get in there.
Battle.
Let's see what happens here. Intruder has to try and go against the smite of Danny. The Prince of Thieves going to have to charge in. Doesn't get it. Intruder finds her. But in the back lines, Wayless in trouble. Gets locked out. Almost takes Long with him though. And whoa, Intruder dashes in and flies into the back lines to take him down. Trading 1 for 1. And LGD pick up Baron as well.
Yeah, they get the Baron. The smite and execute that a Kha'Zix can provide is far more than that of Dandy on his Hecarim. They time it well. And unfortunately for Dandy, and unfortunately for Vici, They don't get the Baron.
And look at that damage dealt in the last team fight. Wayless, it's so nice to have you return to LGD. Where have you been? The team has needed you, and they're going in.
Well, here comes PYL as well as Marin looking to try and stop this Mountain Dragon, and they successfully do so, knocking Vici away, which means they're going to be able to pick this one up for themselves.
Another objective gained by them, and you feel like that momentum's starting to pick up for this team. First things first, reset your side lanes. Get all of that farm, then get your item spikes. The unfortunate aspect of this is it takes them about a minute to 2 minutes to get to the point where they want to group up and team fight. But that's a lot of gold now they're gaining. And
you know, we were talking about this and criticizing other teams that were making such deep roster swaps. We talk about kind of the 3 top teams in the LPL, EDG, Team WE, as well as RNG, and one thing that they have about them is a consistent lineup. Where has this roster been for LGD? A carry-oriented jungler who is mechanically very powerful. No offense against Amy, but he's just not the playmaker that Intruder has shown himself to be in this small sample size. Their return of Godv in the mid lane, and then Marn and Imp flanking that beautifully. Feels like this has been the all-star roster that LGD have always needed.
Well, they've been playing well so far in this match. Now they've picked up a gold lead for themselves. 3,000 gold up ahead of Vici and looking to continue increasing that one as they push through the mid lane out to turret with the Baron up minions pushing on towards the base of Vici. It's going to be difficult for them to defend this one, especially against a Kog'Maw.
They need to flank it. Imp is a very forward-playing Kog'Maw, and he does not have his flash available. This is not a protect the Kog'Maw comp as such. It's more of a pick composition where you want Shen ideally to be ulting a Kha'Zix to get into the backline and kill them, whilst you leave your Kog'Maw completely unattended with just the Trundle helping him.
Speaking of Intruder, he's been having a good game so far. Imp going to get locked down by Lung here. Takes a lot of damage, but will get that stand united. Suddenly, Lung's the one in trouble. Dandy tries to charge in to take down Imp, but he's still alive. And Cody backwards will finally fall down to the crit shot coming out from Jin. Wayless in trouble as the Chaos Storm is ticking away, but he's still alive somehow. Will eventually fall. Caveman chasing. PYO has to run, but Endless gets another crit off. And Almara's in trouble. Concussive Blow is going to come out with one final auto attack. Gets tagged by the Wither's Bite again. They're just chasing their Shen down. There's nowhere for him to go. Tries to duke it out with Caveman. Gravity Field throws him back into the team. And gets taken down. Big team fight for Vici.
But the go button is because meanwhile Intruder in the top lane was taking down a tower. He's going to get hella damage. Look at that.
That's gone.
Yeah, he has a Rift Herald buff and a Baron buff. That guy's doing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, this is actually where it all goes wrong for LGD.
We were talking about this Imp. He likes to play super far forward. Again, that go button is because they see Kha'Zix on the top side of the map. Imp takes so much CC, and he survives for so long, but eventually his luck runs out.
Yeah, Wayless unfortunately died to a Victor ultimate almost exclusively. Braum slowed him down and has to use his burst as an end result onto Caveman. And that's not the person you want to be hitting.
Caveman punches him in the face as well to pick up that kill. But still, gold lead is in favor of LGD. You can take a look at the damage dealt during that last fight. Endless went off, getting so many crits off during that fight.
I mean, overall, even though they lost the Baron on pretty much every member but one, they still managed to break open an inhib. So, in a losing fight, not so bad.
Big macro coming out from LGD.
Weird decision, to be fair.
Intruder on this Kha'Zix has been having an interesting game as well, to say the least. Has been pretty effective in these team fights, and when he's not there, does things like taking down the top lane turrets. Now they've got a flank coming out towards this mid lane. Easy's going to be in trouble, but Mara just splits the wickets and goes straight between them. Gravity Field now going to be able to lock him down, but he's a fairly tanky Shen. It's going to be able to take a beating, but not for long, as he does fall down to Easy here. Guardian Angel will keep him alive, but Endless has got other matters in his mind as he pops out the curtain call, locking down PYL. The crit comes out. Stand United trying to keep the Trundle alive, but Intruder's found the first kill. Somehow LGD is still alive. That's a massive stun that comes out from Wayless, and now he's in trouble as he gets locked down. Marin picks up that kill. Wayless has got 3 Dark Matter balls straight on top of Caveman, and stuns up Endless as well. What a big team fight from LGD's mid laner.
Wayless just went insane in that last fight. LGD get everything that they could want out of a bad situation. They're not done.
He's going in. Intruder gets the reset, jumps in for one, gets the double, and LGD looking unstoppable after that last team fight.
Do you believe yet, Fish? Are you ready?
It's getting closer.
Get on the hype train, because LG are going to the playoffs, and you need to get on now or get off.
Well, let's see if they can finish off this game first, as they're looking to try and take down the mid lane inhibitor turret and the inhibitor. We'll have to see if they do decide to push through, but instead they take the safer route and head towards the top side of the map to take down the previously taken down inhibitor turret and do work on that inhibitor, taking it down. So 2 inhibitors and an ace is what LGD get out of that last fight.
Yeah, 2 big inhibitors now taken down. LGD, if they're allowed to recall for free without dying, will be fine, except that they need to get there.
Well, let's see if they can do just that, because...
Oh, no!
Wayless, what are you doing? He finds Lung, the sneaky mid laner, picks up another pick. That's just disgusting.
They had them caught out of position, stopping them from recalling Fish, and then they died.
Who was really caught out of position?
I'm pretty sure Wayless is on form right now for game number 1 out of this series. His score doesn't reflect the work that he's actually doing for this team. An incredible showing in game number 1 against a surging Vici. They still need to try and end this game, but that was the potential comeback just thwarted.
My goodness. LGD, off the back of those last few plays, are now 9,000 gold up ahead of Vici. Elder Dragon's going to be spawning as well as the Baron that will be coming up in 5 seconds.
To be fair, all LGD need to do is play the waves correctly, and any objective on the map is theirs. They've got 2 open inhibitors down for Vici, so just be patient, be calm, cool, and collected, and close this one out clinically.
Have you met LGD, Frostgirl? I don't think that's something they
You
really
lost
understand
me
how
at calm.
to do. If you told me that's what Vici were going to do in this game, I would believe you.
Still, Vici have a team fighting composition. They have a Hecarim. They have a Lissandra as well to get in the backline and kill Imp. He does not have a QSS in his build. He's going for a Guardian Angel in his build and can be locked down. Imp will probably find himself in a position to get locked down.
I like how he's just resigned himself. I'm going to die anyway, so I might as well die twice.
Wayless also expertly showing off the Syndra changes, something that we haven't seen properly utilized in the mid-season Magic update, is that your W, once you hit rank 5 on it, which he did max 2nd, lets you pick up multiple balls.
Syndra, a legacy champion for the LPL. I know Bjergsen's also known for his Syndra, but it goes pretty far back for LPL mid laners.
Yeah, that Baron just got deleted by
Dandy.
LGD. Frostgirl and Sensen was all it took for them to take it down. Dandy tries to go in to steal that one away. It's not even going to happen. And LGD are still split pushing on the bottom side of the map as well.
It's a 10k gold advantage with a Kog'Maw in the team.
Truda looked like he wanted to go in. Kurtzikal's going to come out. He's in a little bit of trouble. That actually gets stopped.
Yeah, he had to run. PYL's able to stop him, and this is still the bottom lane inhibitor being pushed at the same time now. LGD are in control.
Turrets are falling everywhere at the moment. LGD, all they need is one final team fight. There's no jungler available for Vici to try and defend this push. Wayless looking for another big slow. Picks up the Dark Matter, looking to throw it on top of Long. Locks them down with a 3-man stun. Intruder just jumps on top of all them, playing hopscotch at the moment as he takes down Easy Hood on the back ends of that fight. And LGD with an impressive performance in Game 1 against Vici.
You know, usually we say a win is calm, collected, clinical. That was brutal. That was vicious. That was violent, and that was disgusting.
Well, PYL is definitely happy with that performance. Wayless and Imp look very calm and collected despite the chaotic team that they were playing in that match. Vici just looked like they were outclassed throughout the later stages of that game.
It was a team fighting composition on the side of Vici that was met with 5 strong champions in their respective roles, and each member of LGD performed in that first game, for better or worse, but that is legitimately just LGD's style. And they took apart their opposition.
They certainly did. You know, they brought Wayless back into the mid lane for LGD, and he had a fantastic opening game back onto the roster.
Especially in tandem with Intruder. It's not just Wayless. Like, I'm glad to see him come back onto the lineup, but this young jungler, you know, taking over for Amy is phenomenal to look at and not afraid to make plays on a big stage.
Yeah, a young, aggressive, mechanical jungler who does seem to preference that Kha'Zix and does a whole lot of damage on it.
What's so crazy is Amy was also known as a Kha'Zix main, so they pretty much went from one Kha'Zix main to the other, except this one stepping up.
Plays it.
He had a few, he had a few big game-changing stuns coming out from Wayless.
This was huge from Wayless.
Certainly was. I believe he gets a 4-man stun in this engagement.
Picks his battles. Of course, he wasted his flash a lot earlier, but it's enough to kill Lung, even out some trades. LGD's top laner Marin was able to take a back seat in this set, and that's something we have not had to see from him in a while, and it's honestly a pleasure to see it unfold, because the way Wayless plays these is just unheard of.
And that's the success. You know, we've always known that Imp and Marm were going to be the backbone or the stable members from LGD, and it was just now about Punish and Amy and PYL stepping up. PYL back in form, Wayless opens up back in form, and now getting a jungler who steps up. I mean, Marn doesn't have to do anything anymore. He just needs to play as well as he has been. And
I like what you said, Marn, be able to take a back seat there. He's on a more utility-like champion being the Shen there, so able to provide the utility that they needed to pick up the win in this team fight too. Intruder also looked really impressive, not just the Kha'Zix performance, but he's been playing well with this team. This was another big stun at the end of the game coming out from Wayless.
Yeah, and then of course Intruder playing hopscotch, literally double jumped in midair, gets the third reset and jumps in a fourth time. This is a late game team fight in Kha'Zix that's able to pop off because of the composition that LG actually put together. It felt ragtag, like it wasn't meant to be a team comp, but if Syndra kills somebody, Kha'Zix gets a reset, everyone dies.
It's very reminiscent of the old school Tristana compositions where you just have a lot of burst damage, and instead of the Kha'Zix, it's the AD carry bouncing around.
And with that team composition, LGD are able to pick up game 1 over Vici, but there's still a series on our hands, so stick around because we have that next match coming up in just a bit.